Okay, so I want you to picture something. Imagine a time when pretty much every culture on Earth was convinced that our world had to be held up by something. A god, giant animal, a massive pillar. Now, imagine one person stepping forward and saying, "Nope, you're all wrong. It's held up by nothing at all." Today, we're talking about that incredible moment and the mind of the man who first put our planet into space, Anaximander. For literally thousands of years, this was one of the biggest questions you could ask. I mean, it just makes sense, right? You look around, everything that isn't supported falls down. So the biggest thing of all, the Earth itself, it has to be resting on something, doesn't it? It was this fundamental puzzle that everybody, everywhere, was trying to solve.
And the answers people came up with were usually these incredible myths. Maybe a god like Atlas was holding the world on his shoulders, or maybe it was all resting on the back of a giant cosmic turtle. But then, this Greek thinker, Anaximander, comes along with a totally different take. His answer? Nothing. It's held up by absolutely nothing. It just floats. In an age of gods and monsters, that idea wasn't just revolutionary, it was almost unbelievable.
Seriously, that single idea is one of the greatest intellectual leaps anyone has ever made. It's really the beginning of us seeing the universe not as some grand story told by gods, but as a system that's governed by principles. So let's really dig in and unpack how he even got to that incredible conclusion. So he didn't picture a sphere like we do today. He imagined Earth as a big, flat-topped cylinder, kind of like a drum or a column stump. But honestly, the shape wasn't the brilliant part. The real genius was his reason for why it didn't need any support. It was pure logic. He said, imagine the Earth is at the very center of the universe. If everything in the heavens is pulling on it equally from all sides, where could it possibly fall? And his incredible insight was that it wouldn't fall at all. It would just hang there, perfectly suspended by symmetry. This wasn't magic, it was the beginning of physics. So who was this guy? Who is the person capable of making such a wild leap in thinking? To really get the idea, we have to go back to his world, a place where these kinds of radical new thoughts were just starting to take root. Anaximander came from a city called Miletus. And Miletus was this bustling port town where goods, cultures, and most importantly, ideas from all over the world were constantly mixing. He actually studied under Thales, who's considered the very first philosopher. But Anaximander wasn't just a thinker sitting in a room. As you can see here, the guy did everything. He was an astronomer, an inventor, and a pioneering mapmaker. He just wasn't satisfied with the old myths. He was obsessed with finding rational, natural explanations for, well, everything. But Anaximander wasn't going to stop with just explaining where the Earth was. He wanted to know where everything came from. And to answer that, he had to invent a concept so abstract and so powerful that it would echo through philosophy for centuries. He called it the Apeiron.
And this right here is a huge leap forward in thinking. His teacher, Thales, had a brilliant idea for his time. Everything is made of water. But Anaximander saw a problem with that, a big one. If everything is water, how do you get fire? How can something be made of its own opposite? He realized the ultimate source couldn't be a physical thing you could touch. It had to be something way more fundamental, something abstract, the boundless, or Apeiron.
So what in the world is Apeiron? While the word literally means unbounded or infinite, it's not a substance like water or air. Think of it more as an eternal, undefined, and inexhaustible principle. It's the raw potential from which everything in the universe emerges, and it's the state that everything eventually goes back to.
Now, the Apeiron wasn't just some primordial soup, it was a law. Anaximander imagined this sort of cosmic justice, where opposites like hot and cold or wet and dry were always being kept in balance. You could almost think of it like a cosmic thermostat. And here's the part that is just absolutely mind-blowing for the time. This meant the universe wasn't being run by the random whims of gods. It was governed by a consistent, self-regulating natural law. This was the very beginning of a scientific worldview. And this belief, this deep conviction that the universe is governed by law, led him directly to his next big project, creating the first ever mechanical model of the entire cosmos. Because if the universe follows rules, then we should be able to figure out how it works and draw a map of it. His model was just so clever. So at the center, you have our floating Earth cylinder. He imagined it was surrounded by these giant, invisible wheels or rings that were filled with fire, but they were encased in a thick mist. So what we see is the sun, the moon, and the stars. Those are just little holes in the mist that let us get a peek at the cosmic fire burning inside. And things like eclipses? oh, that was just the holes in the mist temporarily closing up. Of course, we know he was wrong, but it was also beautiful, a rational, mechanical universe that operates on principles you can actually understand.
And get this, he didn't just imagine this model, he tried to measure it. He actually did the math and calculated that the sun's ring was 27 times bigger than the Earth's diameter. Now, the number itself might be wrong, but that's not what's important. The method is what's so revolutionary. He was trying to turn astronomy into a real science, one based on geometry and math, not just telling stories about the gods.
So, as if completely reimagining the entire cosmos wasn't enough for one lifetime, Anaximander also applied that same rational mind to one of the deepest mysteries of all. Where did we come from? He suggested that life first emerged from the moisture on the Earth, and that the first animals lived in the water. But then he made this incredible leap. He claimed that humans must have evolved from some other kind of creature, probably something fish-like. And his reasoning was pure, simple logic. A human baby is totally helpless. The very first humans couldn't have survived as infants. Therefore, our ancestors must have been a species that could take care of itself from birth. We're talking more than 2,000 years before Darwin. This is the first recorded theory of evolution. Just incredible.
So when you really step back and put it all together, the sheer scope of what this one person thought up is just staggering. He wasn't just a philosopher, he was literally building the foundations for multiple different fields of science, all at once.
His impact is just massive because you can see how all his ideas connect to each other. His philosophical concept of the Apeiron led directly to his physical idea of a universe run by natural laws. That idea of law allowed him to build a mechanical model in astronomy, with our free-floating Earth right at the center. And that exact same commitment to finding natural causes led him to a theory of evolution in biology. He didn't just have one great idea, he built an entire system for trying to understand reality.
I think this quote just captures his achievement perfectly. He took the world that his teacher had placed on a foundation of water and bravely hung it in the empty void. He gave us the very first draft of a scientific universe, and by placing our world in that vast, empty space, governed only by law, he set humanity on a course to find our own place within it, a journey of asking questions that, honestly, continues to this very day.